Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Hydrich, to approve the minutes from our last meeting. There were two meetings, one dated April 15th and the second April 18th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the minutes. Thank you.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have a change order number 3, SK Contractors, Roof Package B, liquor license renewals, and a taxi license renewal.
Okay, any questions or comments about these items?
Make a motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Hydrich, to approve the items on the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the items. Thank you.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments and reappointments, resolution, celebrate hashtag extraordinary initiative.
Okay, so we have a series of proclamations tonight. May is a big month. So our first one is for the Celebrate Hashtag Extraordinary Initiative, and we have 3 members here, I guess, so you can all come up. Three moms and a dad, or 2 moms and a dad, right? So anyway, there you go. So you can step over here a little bit, so at least I can look at you every once in a while when I'm reading this. Okay, so anyway, we have a resolution from the City of Washington, Missouri, Celebrate Hashtag Extraordinary Initiative. Whereas the Celebrate Hashtag Extraordinary Initiative is about promoting awareness and acceptance of all people and advocating for the inclusion of all individuals living with special needs. And whereas our state and communities are stronger because of our diversity and our differences, and whereas according to the Center for Disease Control, over 55 million people, or approximately 19% of Americans, have a disability or special needs. Whereas according to Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, for school year 2018 to 19, districts based in Franklin County have a K through 12 enrollment of 12,437, of which 1,808 receive special education services, which would be 18.08%, versus a statewide average of 13.2%. And I thought that was an interesting comment. And whereas these figures do not include those students receiving special education services at Autumn Hill School, area private schools, or in a homeschool setting. And whereas for some people with special needs, the very things that make them unique can also keep them on the sidelines, separate from those who might not understand their differences or uniquenesses. And whereas it is important to promote and provide guidance to those with special needs on how to access publicly supported services available to them in the community. And whereas it is important to encourage and educate the community and businesses on ways they can make facilities and services more accessible and on how to train staff to welcome and support special needs customers and coworkers. And whereas the goal of this initiative is to provide a supportive and inclusive environment for individuals of all abilities by supporting community events that expand family-friendly opportunities for people with special needs and their families. And whereas adopting the Celebrate Hashtag Extraordinary Initiative is an important statement that our city officials, business owners, and residents can make to show their support for the differently abled children and adults with special needs and their families. Now therefore I, Sandy Lucy, by the virtue of the authority vested in me and speaking on behalf of the entire City Council, urge residents and business owners to adopt the Celebrate Hashtag Extraordinary Initiative so that all are better prepared to communicate with, provide for, and support those living with special needs. Signed, Sandy Lucy, Mayor, and Mary Trentman, City Clerk. There you go. Who gets it? There you go. Anybody want to address the council?
Chris, you should. Chris is our leader.
So, do you address which way? Okay, sorry. Thank you very much for this great honor. And we just had our 2-year anniversary yesterday, and we have great partnership with the Washington Police Department, and we're very grateful for that. We're having a great time with the sports, but we're moving more into education, awareness, and inclusion of kids with special needs. So we're looking to build partnerships, and this is an important partnership, and we look forward to sharing our ideas and having you help us make a better world for kids with special needs. Thank you.
Sure.
Mayor's Proclamation, Bicycle Safety Week.
Okay, Bicycle Safety Week. Optimus members.
Norm. Say.
Okay, Mayor's Proclamation, City of Washington, Missouri, Bicycle Safety Week, May 13 through 19, 2019. Whereas the bicycle is a viable and environmentally Whereas the bicycle is a viable and environmentally sound form of transportation and an excellent form of recreation. And whereas millions of Missourians will experience the joys of bicycling during the month of May through educational programs, races, commuting events, trail work days, helmet promotion, charity events, or just getting out and going for a ride. And whereas creating bicycle-friendly communities has been shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life, to boost community spirit, to improve traffic safety, and to reduce pollution and congestion. And whereas the education of bicyclists and motorists as to the proper and safe operation of bicycles is important to ensure the safety and comfort of all users. And whereas the Washington Police Department, together with other members of the community, will host the 44th Annual Bicycle Safety Rodeo on May 18th, 2019, to promote greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety education in an effort to reduce collisions, injuries, and fatalities, and improve health and safety for everyone on the road. Now, therefore, in recognition that the health, safety, and welfare of its residents are the most valuable asset of any city, I, Sandy Lucy, Mayor, proclaim May 13th through 19th, 2019 as Bicycle Safety Week in the city of Washington, Missouri, and encourage all residents to enjoy the benefits of bicycling, recognize the importance of bicycle safety, and be more aware of cyclists on our streets. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the city of Washington, Missouri, this 6th day of May, 2019, signed Sandy Lucy, Mayor. There we go.
I just want to say thank you to the City of Washington for allowing your police department to work with us the last 44 years with the Optimist Club. We have found this to be a great partnership, and we've just not expanded it between us. We've now brought in Mercy. We've brought in the Hope Lodge to do identity recognition and car seat checks, and it's just a great event to come out and talk safety of bicycles, bicycle riding, car seats, everything. So thank you again. We appreciate it. May 18th, Saturday, Swine Pavilion, Fairgrounds. 9 a.m. Oh, yeah, and now that you guys have a popcorn popper, or having popcorn, well, we've always had popcorn, but now that the police department has their own popcorn popper, it's all set. As well as Safety Town.
That's Jim's world.
Yes, Jim's World. Jim's World Safety Town, which is great for the under 5 kids. So thank you very much.
Mayor's Proclamation, National Police Week.
Okay, got the whole crowd here? There you go. Or whoever.
Nobody, apparently.
Okay. Come over here some. Okay. All right. We have a mayor's proclamation, City of Washington, Missouri, National Police Week, May 12th through 18th, 2019. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. And whereas the police officers of the City of Washington have worked devotedly and selflessly in behalf of the people of this community, regardless of their peril or hazard to themselves. And whereas these officers play an essential role in safeguarding the lives and property of our residents, protect against violence, disorder, deception, and oppression or intimidation. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department. Whereas the police department of the City of Washington has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service. And whereas U.S. flags are to be flown at half-staff on Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 15th, in tribute to those peace officers that have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Now therefore, I, Sandy Lucy, Mayor of the City of Washington, Missouri, call upon all citizens of Washington and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 12th through 18th, 2019 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our citizens may join in commemorating police officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to this community, and in doing so have established for themselves a desirable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of Washington, Missouri to observe May 15th, 2019 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who through their courageous deeds have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of duty. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of Washington, Missouri, this 6th day of May, 2019. Signed, Sandy Lucy, Mayor. So, congratulations. And you know, the line in here that talks about the respect that our community has for our officers, I mean, it truly is true. It's a tribute to all of you and the outstanding job that you do, because in our community, our police officers are really respected and looked upon as great heroes of our community. And I really kind of like it that way anyway, but it's just really great. But it's a great testament to the integrity and to the leadership, but to all of you individuals who just really do take your job seriously and just do an outstanding job. So, I know a couple of you newbies are here, so you, I guess, right? So anyway, but, and I know that you all have said the same thing, that this is a great group to be part of. And so we really love you and care for you, so thank you. Okay, enough from me. So you can, you want to say something? Yeah. Great job.
So Police Week for all officers is a week of remembrance for those throughout this nation that have given their life in the line of duty, We pay our respects to them and remember them. Wednesday, the 15th of May at 10 a.m., we'll have a flag ceremony out at the city flagpole. We invite everyone from the community to come by. You'll have the honor guard come out. You'll have the police officers in full dress uniform, parade formation, and we will raise and then lower the flag. We'll have a prayer, of course, and then I believe the Pledge of Allegiance. So we invite you all to come out and help us pay respect for those that have given the ultimate to their community and done the service that is the ultimate sacrifice. And I too want to convey the mayor that the police department, you have all these officers behind me and the more that couldn't be here because they're working, some of them. They're a wonderful group of men. They have my respect, and they're very honorable, and they love this community and respect this community and honor its citizens likewise. And they do a fantastic job. So thank you.
Historic Preservation Month. I don't see Carolyn.
Let's see Carolyn.
She didn't make it.
You need to read it? You want to hear this?
Read it.
Do you want to or not?
You want to hear this?
Well, there's nobody to give it to, so anyway, okay.
You want to volunteer? I can volunteer.
You looking for
Volunteer.
somebody old?
Officer Dave.
Wow.
You're the new history of the Washington. Step up here.
Yes, sir.
I should be so lucky to be the only one here tonight.
I'm one of the newest.
One of the newest. Okay, very good. All right.
If he rips off a speech at the end of this, I'll be.
Yeah, now you need to,
I'll work on it.
you work on that,
Let's see what
okay?
we got.
Okay. Okay, Mayor's Proclamation, City of Washington, Missouri. Historic Preservation Month, May 2019. Whereas historic preservation strengthens the enduring bonds between the past and present. And whereas in 1949, a congressional charter signed by President Truman established the National Trust for Historic Preservation, launching the use of historic preservation as an effective tool for community revitalization, economic development, and enhancing livability. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintain community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas This Place Matters is the theme for National Historic Preservation Month, which is co-sponsored by the City of Washington and the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Now therefore, I, Sandy Lucy, Mayor of Washington, Missouri, do hereby proclaim May 2019 to be Historic Preservation Month in the City of Washington, Missouri, and call upon the people of Washington to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of Washington, Missouri, this 6th day of May 2019, signed Sandy Lucy, Mayor. There you go. All right, thank you. Okay, you're going to work on it for next year. Okay. Reading that did remind me of, it was Joanne Ratatek who was the pioneer in historic preservation here in Washington, and we've come a long way since then. And you as a council, the council has changed tremendously. If any of you were paying attention back then, which whatever year it was, they ridiculed her, they laughed at her, they humiliated her. I mean, they did everything they could to shut her down. And she kept going after it and kept going, and it was not easy. I mean, I always refer to her as our pioneer, and look what we have today. I mean, what we have and what we've preserved, and I mean, they voted to tear a building down just to get even with her at one point. I mean, it was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, little did we know that it would make such a difference today. And today, when we have visitors in our community, they love our historic aspects, they love our buildings. Whoever would have thought that all the development would be going on in our old district of Washington, our historic district. And Steve, you've even played a role by saving the Jasper House. So, I mean, it just is one of those things that just kind of catches on slowly, and but we really owe a lot to Joanne because she was the pioneer of all this. So anyway, okay, enough. Okay, you didn't have to say anything because I said it. Thank you.
Mayor's proclamation, municipal clerk's week.
So this is you, Mary.
Do we need to hear this?
She's here, so yes. She's here and she's going to respond, okay? So anyway, Mayor's Proclamation, City of Washington, Missouri. The 50th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week, May 5th through 11th, 2019. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now therefore I, Sandy Lucy, Mayor of Washington, Missouri, do hereby recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2019 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Mary Trentman, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Dated the 6th day of May, 2019, signed Sandy Lucy, Mayor. There you go.
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be your city clerk. As the president of the East Central Division, I know that the clerks really appreciate being recognized. And if there's anything you need or I can help you out with, remember, I'm neutral. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Police Department reappointments.
Council, I have 5 of my command staff that's for reappointment today. I'll have them come up. Captain Jim Armstrong, Sergeant Joe Kapuska, Sergeant Darrell Balladier, Detective Sergeant Steve Seitz, and Sergeant Joseph Rinkham. This is half of my command staff. These gentlemen are critical in the running of the department. They make my job so much easier. They are wonderful. They are courageous young men and women, or young men, pardon me. They serve with honor and integrity, and I can't speak enough good of them. They've been with you a while. They serve this city as citizens and love what they do, and I recommend your reappointment.
Okay. Any?
I make a motion to reappoint.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Hydrich, to reappoint Captain Jim Armstrong, Lieutenant Joseph Kaputska, Detective
Sergeant,
Did I say that right?
Sergeant.
It says lieutenant.
Oh, is he?
It says it on the next one.
Mine says sergeant.
Promotion. I'll take it.
That's a typo.
Hey. Okay.
On the next one, it says sergeant.
Mine says sergeant. I don't know what that.
Yeah, that's a typo. I apologize.
Okay, well, Sergeant Joseph Kaputska. You're
Yeah, that's
Promoted and demoted, just like that.
Detective Sergeant Daryl Balladeer.
no.
No? Yeah, you're not okay. I bet Steve
about
Seitz is a detective
You
sergeant.
got it.
Okay. You're a sergeant. Okay. And Joe Rankemeyer, you're a sergeant. Okay. And that's it. Okay, so whatever. You guys are really good. And all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, opposed. You're all reappointed. Good job.
Sorry, Joe.
Okay.
2019 Council Committee Liaison Assignments.
Okay, so in your packet are the liaison assignments. And there's a sheet in there, page 37. We've added some committees so that we don't have as many. Those of you who've been here for a while realize that we used to have more people on the committee, but now that we've added some, that you don't have as many that you're responsible for. So did you want to say anything about those?
No, I think we tried to go ahead and evenly spread this out. And we tried to, as well as listen to what you guys requested, as well as we know what your schedules are too, you know, of how easy it is for some of you to make daytime meetings versus nighttime meetings, so.
So I guess we'll entertain a motion to accept this and approve them.
Just one question. On the new, I'm on the safety committee, and there's some new ones out there, or I guess, who's going to be in charge of those? And
The safety committee is, I think that is Mark Scornia, Emergency Management Director.
he'll get a hold of us as a committee.
Yes, and they meet, every 2 months?
Yeah,
I think it's quarterly.
I think it's
Is it
Quarterly,
quarterly?
they meet quarterly.
Nope,
The
Safety
safety
committee.
committee.
I think it's quarter.
They
quarterly.
meet quarterly.
Yeah, they'll let me know.
They'll let you know.
We'll be
yes.
notified.
You'll be notified, yes. You will get, we'll make sure that all the appropriate staff go ahead and get out
Emails
and let you know when the regular scheduled meetings are,
All right.
et cetera, for those of you that don't. Some of these, I will tell you, we have yet, like, John and I have talked about the Stormwater Committee, that we have yet to have a first meeting, I
Yeah,
guess.
they're still being developed.
Yeah.
As far as how we organize that a little
Right.
bit.
But that's
DNR
part of that
That's part of our
MS4.
MS4.
Permit that we get from DNR. They requested that we start, try to hold, meetings, regular meetings to discuss stormwater quality, potential ordinances, issues that we're seeing. So we're still in the development stage of that, but this is kind of the first step is
I
identifying.
guess my numerous phone calls put me in that position.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, I'm always, we've had stormwater conversations, John and I have, so
Right.
that's fine. We're
No,
good.
I look forward to it.
We're all good.
And emergency services, that's emergency management?
Yes.
Or emergency, no, that's not, yeah.
Ambulance.
Well, that's went away. We used to do emergency services, now we do traffic, fire.
We have
We've put it
traffic.
back.
We still have traffic, but now we decided as agencies to meet, so we have fire, police, ambulance, and communication.
That's a new committee.
That all meets quarterly at 10 a.m. on a Monday.
Quarterly, 10 a.m. on a Monday. And you will notify
Yes.
Nick, you're
Yep.
on there, okay? And the other new one is the comprehensive plan review.
Correct.
And that was something that was in our plan that we did.
Comprehensive plan, go
Comprehensive
ahead,
plan,
have a
and they
committee.
recommended that we have a committee to review that. And so it's made up of 2 council members, a couple of planning and zoning folks, and some, individuals
can't
at
give
large,
you
I
the,
believe.
but I know that the meeting times for that, I think in talking to Sal, they'll be at 6 o'clock prior to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, to make it easy, so you don't have to an extra night.
And the Finance Committee is a new committee, which we had last year, but it never met.
Right.
But that was something that Mary Sprung requested based on just looking at the city's investments and also just looking at our finances and things like that. And there are, we have some community members at large are also involved
So
with
that would probably be during the day.
be a
but we have-
daytime meeting. So those would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, actually several new ones that have, 4 new ones, and then plus the Finance Committee that we did last year but never met, so. Okay? All right, so any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Padkey, seconded by Holtmeyer to accept and approve the 2019 Council Committee Liaison assignments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the appointments. Thank you.
Citizens' comments?
That would be you.
Turns out, coming on Bike Safety Week, I think it couldn't have worked out better as far as timing.
Okay, pull the microphone over a
Oh,
little bit,
sorry.
so there you
Okay.
go, so
All
that we
right.
can get this.
Got a couple of questions. I was here last.
Oh, we need your name and address.
Oh, okay. Jim Haberberger, 404 High Street here in town.
Okay. Okay,
A couple of updates. I'd like the Riverfront Trail. I was wondering if we had any idea. Sounds like there's some negotiations going on now, according to the reports in the paper. I was wondering if we had any idea when we could expect that to be reopened.
you're talking about the east?
Yes.
The portion that was, they have the contract until, Alberici has a contract until September of 2019. I think our goal is to try to go ahead and by 2020 have it back open. We do have, there are some discussions that we have to go ahead and do with them to go ahead and determine how it's going to be restored, what their responsibilities are to go ahead and do that. And we just started those discussions with Alberici a month ago.
So that wasn't something that was nailed down ahead of time, contract?
Well, there was a contract, but there's portion of it, there's something that could be discussed is whether or not the city wants to go ahead, have them rebuild it, or pay the city cash, and the city can go ahead and have it rebuilt.
Okay.
So those are things that we're
So that-
discussing at this time.
So if it would be left up to them, when would they be required to have it back open?
If it was left up to them,
Yeah, if it was per contract, they have till September 2019
Right.
to get it restored. And that restoration essentially gets it into a kind of a patchwork kind of view of the trail. So whatever
So
they
they
damage,
weren't required by contract to get it back the way they found it?
they were required by contract to get it back the way they found it. But once again, anytime that you replace, so if there was any damage done throughout the construction of it, it would have to be patched and restored back to the way they found it.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, the way they found it, it was built in 2000.
It was.
2002.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, I was out there a lot. I
So-
was
so-
one of the last ones on it before we
Well, so
couldn't
the
get on it
situ-
anymore.
well, so the situation that you have here is that, staff is working with Alberici to see if there's any potential to actually maybe rebuild it to a new
Yeah.
situation, which that's what we're working on. Now, there could be a little give on that from the city's perspective, the timing to get it back open. That is a fact. But the idea essentially comes from, do you restore it back as a patchwork type trail, or do you restore it back as something that's brand new?
Well-
So that's what we're working on.
Okay, me personally, I wouldn't want to tie it up for too long to get it back to new. My personal opinion would be the sooner the better, but I understand that's on you guys to come up with what's best for all of us.
And also keep in mind that they have to actually physically remove all the rock that's
Right,
in the river.
yeah.
And the only way that they get that out is to travel that trail. So this was always going to be the last thing that they did.
I understand
And once
that.
again,
And now it's probably going to get pushed back a little farther because they had to pull out.
Well, and the potential of rain and flooding and
Yeah.
all those things, that is a real concern with getting that rock out of the river.
Yeah.
So how,
The concern too, I want to add, is that with them having a contract that is set to expire in September, you've got a short window then to go ahead and repave that, if that's what we decide to go ahead and do. And we don't want to go ahead and rush into it, et cetera, try to get, asphalt down when it's not, when it's
Yeah.
getting too cold.
Well, I guess my fear is that if we give them till the end of the year, it'll be December, it won't be a good time to lay down asphalt.
that is a fact.
If it comes.
That's correct.
If you let them stretch it out too long, then we're going to end up, it's going to be April or May of 2020 before we ever see it. And it was my baby. I love it out there. I think that's one of the best things the Parks Department and the City of Washington ever did was put that trail in place.
Yeah.
And I really miss it. And I think I'm not the only one.
Right.
I agree.
So anyway, what about the trail over the bridge? A lot of people are looking forward to using it. I understand right now it is a severe dead end, and you can't even get off the bridge the way it is now on the north end. So I understand why there's a holdup there. Do we have any idea how long before they?
Again, the only thing I would sit there and say is that the end of their contract is September. I do know that was one of the last phases of the project, was to go ahead and have that go under. That's a state contract with MoDOT. That's not a contract that they have with the city. but
Okay.
That's,
Well, I guess it's no longer Washington on that side of the river anyhow.
well, right, but I mean, the contract with them to go ahead and finish that on that north side is between the state and
I think
Alberisi.
just to be clear though, with the state contract, that the overlook or the trail portion that goes over to the pedestrian access that goes adjacent to Highway 47 will go under the bridge and then
Right.
come out on the east side.
Oh,
Now, it
okay.
will not extend further to the Katy
Oh,
Trail or anywhere else.
Back in October, I think we actually, that kind of came up too. So, yes, I know that, and hopefully someday some money can be found for that. But the only other question I got is the Bush Creek Trail. Do we have any idea? Is there money ready for that? Do we?
Yes.
We have secured grant funds. Do you want to talk schedule?
Yes, we have a federal grant. It's an 80/20 cost shared grant with MoDOT. So we're essentially getting federal taxpayers back to the city of Washington to construct that. That is a off-street pedestrian shared access trail is what it is. So we're not saying it's a trail. It's a shared access path.
Yeah.
From Jefferson Street to the east. We did look at an alternative close to the Hancock Street area that will bring it up 47, along 47 rather than get it on street. So that is going to take a little bit of additional time. We are asking for an extension on that, but it will allow for an additional, tenth of a mile that would essentially be off street. It will then tie in close to the Bank of Franklin County on 8th Street. Then it will go back on street past Camp Street Bridge and then go off street by the South Point School.
Okay.
So it'll be a combination of both. It is on track. I mean, it is essentially on track, but like I said, we are requesting a 9-month extension with this improvement to the project. So
Okay.
it's an improvement, but
Okay.
there is going to be an extension
Well,
with that.
it's really cool. I'm glad that when I've read about that the first time, that was pretty exciting stuff. And
Yeah, and the goal there, once again, one of the major goals there was just to connect the school campus, public school campus and things like that, to get kids and things off the streets, walking to the downtown facilities. So it's a joint kind of it's not
That's-
a trail specific, it's a joint.
now,
kind of
when you,
use.
I know there'll be the trail itself, will it be wide enough for, say, a bicycle and a
Yes.
pedestrian crossing, passing? Do we know how
I
wide?
believe it's 12 foot wide.
Oh,
So
okay,
it'd be
all right.
10
That'll be plenty
10 to
big.
12 foot wide,
So
Yeah.
it'll be a good size.
Yeah,
for sure.
all right.
We can get you a copy of the trail or the proposed trail for the Bush Creek if you want to go ahead and stop by, or just give me a call tomorrow and I'll be happy to go ahead and email it to you if you want, or
Okay.
we'll print it out and have it ready for, if you want to stop
Okay.
and pick it up.
I'm nobody, I'm just a nosy,
Oh, you're a citizen.
nosy
Yes.
citizen, yes.
Yeah, there you are. Well,
Got-
these are important things to you, so
Okay.
you want to know.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you.
Uh-huh. Thanks, Jim.
You know, getting back to the trail, under the contract with Alberici to replace it as it was when they first started.
Yep.
What happens with the overgrowth? Do we take care of that?
The overgrowth,
In the past 2 years, I'm sure the trees have grown over top of the trail.
there is, I'm not aware that there's a provision to cut back any trees or any of that situation.
That's
I
not
will-
within the specs, I
Yeah,
know.
I will say that kind of the biggest thing that we have is Alberici made a decision to place, it's kind of like a rock, buffer essentially. They hauled in a bunch of rock to try to lessen the load on the trail itself. That rock ranges anywhere from 4 to 12 inches, hauling trucks and steel in and out. So that's over top of the trail. We have not had an opportunity to inspect the condition of the trail underneath yet. Part of their contract is to remove all that rock and then do an inspection and then essentially patch what was damaged. That's an important part of this, that it's patch what was there before. Now, I'm of the opinion that patching is not what you had before. However, how do you go and pave a 20-year-old trail back in? So it becomes this somewhat of a negotiation back and forth, and that's what Darren and I and Wayne, sorry, we're all in discussion about is what does that define as? At the end of the day, MoDOT has the discretion to make that definition. They are the engineer. And we're working with them on coming up with what that definition is. But there is nothing specific regarding overgrowth. The trees that were removed, that's part of, getting it back to what it is today, so they'd have to be hauled out and or chipped. Like I said, that rock, any silt that was deposited through the flooding events, I think that's up for discussion as far as what needs to be removed. Alberici would say no. I think we would say yes. So those type of things all have to be discussed. But right now, they've kind of approached us with maybe an alternate of maybe having an opportunity to repave it as new. But we would have to take that on as a project, which could delay in the spring of 2020 potentially. That's the fact of the situation. I said could delay. So.
Yep, we want to.
Overgrowth, I was down there probably about a month ago and drove the whole trail all the way up to the bridge. And there's, if you're talking about overgrowth, like hitting my truck or anything like that, it's nothing even close.
They're running dump trucks in and out of there. So, a bike and a dump truck, I think, are two separate things. I think if you're not having overgrowth issues with a dump truck, I don't think.
Well, I just know that we've always had somebody from the Parks Department go through there and do some cleaning up
Yeah,
of trees.
yeah.
And I'm sure they've grown up over the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, we've had 2 foot of it. We're going through one right now. So, and I would quite honestly anticipate another one this year. So it is a somewhat of a moving target, but they do have specifications they need to hit. And anything that is not repaired per those specifications will have to go through the city and then ultimately MoDOT. So we're looking for alternates to improve our standing on the trail.
Any other questions? Okay.
Report of department head, independent auditors report.
Okay, so this was the report we just received at our previous meeting. That he did a really good job of reporting. Any questions or comments?
Motion to accept in the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Holtmeyer to accept this item into the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you accepted the item. Thank you. And kudos to our staff
Finance
and
staff.
finance staff and our leadership throughout the city, all our departments for that good report, actually.
Yep.
Revenues up, costs down. That's kind of how it's supposed to work, right?
Exactly.
So, anyway, okay, good job.
Artwork placement recommendation.
Okay, so this was the item we discussed earlier. The photos were in our previous packet. Do you have any additional questions of Wayne?
Motion to accept in the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Pettit, to accept and approve this item. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the item. Thank you.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance accepting the bid from Joe Mockins Ford, Lincoln, Columbia, Missouri, and to approve the purchase of a 2019 Ford 550 regular cab and chassis 4x4 with options by the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilman Holtmeyer. Tony, this is the truck you discussed earlier?
Yeah, this is the same truck we discussed earlier. Something I wanted to add on is that we are buying the truck under the state, MoDOT state contract. Under the contract, Meekum Ford had Knapheide as the contractor for the beds. However, we did get a second quote from a local vendor if that question ever does come up. Yeah. So
Which are you using? Which are you using?
we are using Knapheide. They were the lowest bidder, and we've had some fantastic support from them in the past.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions, comments?
An ordinance accepting the bid from Joe Mockins Ford, Lincoln, Columbia, Missouri, and to approve the purchase of a 2019 Ford 550 regular cab and chassis 4x4 with options by the City of Washington, Missouri. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Wessels?
Yes.
Sullentrup? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Obermark?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract with Matt Gerardier Excavating LLC for the building demolition at 902 Locust Street in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri, and amend the 2019 budget.
Introduced by Councilman Scornia. This is the demolition contract for the
902 Locust.
902. Any questions or comments?
I do. You have any idea what kind of work these guys do? We're gonna have another problem like we had at the airport because we didn't check into that as hard as we should have.
Well, I don't want to speak to the airport, but I, like I said, I think they had a contract with St. Clair on 3 structures, and I've not read anything in the paper, but I've not followed up with anyone. It's not necessarily work they do, it's work they tear down in this
I
situation.
know they can't screw this up, but I just want to make sure they're not going to happen
Good.
through it. I don't know the company, and there's, the bids are so close together that I'd hate to see a problem happen when we didn't go with somebody else that we know that does, quality work for raising buildings, but
11,000.
I'll do whatever council's
do you think it'd be a problem with calling St. Clair and getting some references from them, the people he worked for?
I think the only problem that we would have is a 2-week delay on approving the contract. So no, I do not think it would be a problem to do it. But I would say that
Like I
it's
say,
a
you can't
demo.
screw the job up. I wish somebody would know something about this company.
I know him.
Okay?
He used to live on Highway K. I don't know where he's at now, but he used to deliver to him.
So they've been around a while.
It's been a little while. He's a younger guy, but he's been in business about, I'm guessing 10 years.
It says 20 on his website.
20.
It says 20 years on his website. I looked it up since the workshop meeting. I mean, it's licensed and insured, safe demolitions. Again, I agree with Councilman Sullentrup in the fact that if it was something besides tearing down one house, we got to look into something like that. But for that small,
As long as he's insured and licensed, I think.
yeah,
And
Be all right.
we have to follow
That's-
up our
that's
insurance
required.
obligations, things of that nature anyway, so.
Right.
right.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract with Matt Girardi Excavating LLC for the building demolition at 902 Locust Street in the City of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri, and amend the 2019 budget. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Wessels?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Obermark?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a supplemental agreement by and between the City of Washington and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the High Street Improvements Project STP 6403606.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilman Patke. This is the High Street? What?
It's a supplemental agreement for the High Street project, reducing that funding for right-of-way by what is that? $16,000.
I've got it in here.
Did you give a figure?
What's that?
He's looking. Did you give a figure?
Did you give a
Oh, I
figure?
did, yes, 16,000. I'm sorry.
16.
16,000, okay.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Right.
You whispered it.
I heard it.
Okay, any questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a supplemental agreement by and between the City of Washington and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the High Street Improvement Project STP 6403606. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia? Yes. Wessels?
Yes.
Sullentrup? Holtzmeyer? Obermark?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an aviation project consultant supplement agreement number 2, construction services by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Crawford, Murphy and Tilley, Inc.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Councilmember Holtmeyer.
So speaking of our favorite airport project, this is a supplemental agreement with CMT to essentially close out the airport apron project with Ranieri. This is a change order to increase their consulting fees by $77,000. That is eligible for 90/10, which is what we have discussed in the past. That is a not-to-exceed number, so they have not spent that money at this time, the totality of it. They have spent a significant portion of it, but I've not seen the last bill to that. But there is some closeout documentation that has to be done. We are still withholding $15,000, plus or minus dollars from that Ranieri contract to close that out, but the project is essentially complete. Once we receive all the paperwork, MoDOT is happy with everything. They have done their final walkthrough. We will be paying that retainage to Ranieri, and it would close this project out.
Any questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an aviation project consultant supplemental agreement number 2, construction services by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Crawford, Murphy and Tilley, Inc. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Wessels?
Yes.
Sullentrup? Holtzmeyer?
Aye.
Obermark?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a Missouri State Highways and Transportation Commission Amendment Number 2 to State Block Grant Agreement.
Sullentrup.
Introduced by Councilmember Sullentrup.
This is the MoDOT portion of the paperwork that, as I just described regarding these supplemental agreement for the consultant, this allows for the 90/10 reimbursement.
Okay, any comments or questions?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a Missouri State Highways and Transportation Commission Amendment Number 2 to State Block Grant Agreement. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Wessels?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Yes.
Holtzmeyer?
Aye.
Obermark?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Washington Fence Company and amend the 2018-2019 budget.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilmember Patke. This is for the fence.
Yes, this was for the fence that we talked about earlier this evening. Was there any questions, any further questions?
What do we know about this company?
I couldn't check their website.
Have we done business with them before?
That's a very good question.
It should be noted, though, that because a council member is involved, it has to be the lowest bid. It's not the lowest and best that we get to make that decision, but it is the lowest bid in this case, so we're safe. Is that right?
Yeah,
I mean, we're-
the other bid with the alternate came in like 158,000, where this
Okay.
one came in at 105,
What was the other one?
158.
158,000,
158.
yeah.
Okay. Guess we know this guy.
Market known.
Any questions, comments?
An
Okay.
ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Washington Fence Company and amend the 2018-2019 budget. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Wessels?
Yes.
Sullentrup?
Abstain.
Holtmeyer?
Yes.
Obermark?
Yes.
Hatchke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and CV Contractors.
Patke.
Introduced by Councilmember Patke. This is the lunch stand?
This is the lunch stand roof that we discussed earlier. And thank you, Josh, for pointing out that the Fair Board, they are doing other improvements to the actual stand, the siding and things like, and some painting and things like that. So, any other questions regarding that?
Any questions or comments?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and CV Contractors. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Wessels?
Yes.
Sullentrup? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Obermark?
Yes.
Hatchke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and SK Contractors, Inc.
Heidrich.
Introduced by Councilmember Heidrich.
And this is the Ronzik dugouts and shed roofs, and then the various other alternates included in that we discussed earlier. Is there any other questions about any of that?
Doesn't look like
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a contract agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and SK Contractors, Inc. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia?
Yes.
Wessels?
Yes.
Sullentrup? Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Obermark?
Yes.
Hatchke?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
By your vote, you approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Resolution of official intent of the City Council of the City of Washington, Missouri
You gonna talk-
toward the issuance of industrial revenue bonds to finance a project for Melton Machine and Control Company and authorizing certain actions relating thereto.
Pettit. No, never mind.
Okay, so, well,
Take it back.
we have a motion by Pettit. So Mark's going to talk about this a minute.
This, as you know, Melton Machine has started work on their new facility out off of Highway 100. They want to start doing some purchasing for the equipment and machinery that's going to go into the facility, which will eventually be funded by or financed by some Chapter 100 bonds that the city has been asked to issue. We're not ready to do the bonds yet, but in order for them to be able to basically reimburse themselves out of bond funds, we have to adopt this resolution. So it doesn't commit you to doing anything, but does authorize them to start acquiring machinery and equipment with the understanding or with the expectation that you'll issue some Chapter 100 bonds shortly.
Any questions or comments? Okay, so we have a motion by Pettit, seconded by Sullentrup, to approve the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? By your vote, you approve the resolution. Thank you.
Mayor's report.
Tonight I'm going to give a little shout out to our Parks Department. Last weekend was Sunset on the Riverfront, not this past weekend, the weekend before. And I didn't realize what all was going on. I looked out the window one day, and there were, no, it was Barbecue and Blues Fest, sorry, had the wrong month, Barbecue and Blues. I looked out the window, and there were like park staff working like busy little beavers over at the corner of Main and Elm, trimming up the shrubbery, you know, cleaning out all the dead stuff, us putting the fountain in. It wasn't like I was just watching, but I mean, they were just everywhere. But that morning they had started at the riverfront because they had to get everything ready for sunset on the riverfront. Then they were up on the Main Street parking lot. And on Saturday was the Arbor Day out at Miller Post, which that looked magnificent out there. And tonight, as I drove up here, the hanging baskets are out. So they are really an amazing crew. It was raining at one point while they were doing all that on the Main and Elm parking lot, and I'd like to kind of give them a shout out for the great job that they're doing. So thank you, Wayne, and pass that along.
Dunker bees
Thank
are
you.
working hard.
They are going to town, so. And that's all I have.
City Administrator's report.
I just have 2 items for you in executive session.
Council comments.
I have a I'd just like to make a recommendation, or at least an ask a favor here from city staff, that we can get an answer or look into the approach to the bridge on the city side, on Highway 47, between 3rd Street and the bridge.
Oh, I know
I
that.
realize it's a MoDOT project. I realize it's Alberici MoDOT, but as a personal truck driver who drives there, you cannot drive in one lane. I cannot believe that is a MoDOT approved lane. That you can't cross the line to even get through there.
Well, there is plans for it to be improved as of right now. So,
Yeah,
John?
yeah,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, give you an answer. That is temporary striping. So as MoDOT removes the truss section of the old bridge just to the east, they're actually going to be the turn, or the sharpness of that turn is going to be feathered out towards the south. So that approach will actually start happening at 1st Street. And they're actually, the 2 lanes going south will not be 2 lanes at that location. It will actually be 1 lane further to the south.
That makes a lot of
So this
sense.
is not the
Right.
final stripe.
Great. I've never seen a
Never
plan or a
was.
map of that, so
Yeah,
thank
it
you.
never was, it never was the final stripe.
You're gonna re-asphalt the approach too.
Correct. That is
Great.
all
I get a lot of
temporary
questions
asphalt.
about that, so I just want to give an answer.
Yeah,
that's-
and maybe.
Yeah, Judy was very thorough at our last transportation meeting, and I know that not all of you. can
Right,
make
I haven't
that,
heard
so-
anything
And
about it.
I'd be more than happy. I mean, I have a plan sheet. I can bring it. We can put it up on the screen, maybe the next
Right.
meeting around. Just
Well, the,
That would be
the
nice
curve
for
that's
the public to
there,
see it.
the curve that's there now was not the curve that was on
The final design.
the final design.
It's very abrupt coming off.
It's
the
very
bridge. It
abrupt.
will be, like I said, for lack of better terms, feathered out or not as abrupt as it comes out. And here's the thing, trucks, specifically, you're concerned with trucks. That bridge is there to handle freight. There's no load limit on that truck, so which means that the bridge has to be designed and the approach off it to handle large loads with not going over top of a lane. So just keep that in mind, that the whole concept of the bridge was to be able to handle those large freight. It will be fixed. It is a temporary situation. Fixed in the sense of there will always be some sort of a curve there, but not in the sense of it to be abrupt is what it is today.
Great.
So, but as far as looking into other,
Well, I'll rephrase my question. I'm sorry, I wasn't meaning that we
No.
had to do something about it, but I
No, I
was unaware of that,
understand.
so,
It's already in the works.
thank you.
yep.
And after that, I mean, we can we'll let the project finish, and then we can reassess. at
The
that
conversation always is, the house should have been torn down, or this should have been done, that kind of things, but let's see what happens, and then we can go from
I
there.
think it's like, it's like any type of new construction streetwise, and you have temporary lane shifts and those things. Let's just wait to see how it all, let's finish it up and then
Right.
move forth from there.
point. Correct.
I mainly want to give one uniform answer to those people who ask me on a regular basis.
Yeah, and like I said, I could even email you all out the plan sheet that shows it if you'd like, just so you have it in front of you, that's fine. It's a PDF, it's easy to do.
John, I'm wondering, we heard that too a couple of times in transportation. So I wonder if that, what you're saying, that eventual look and the look today, I wonder if that's something maybe we could get, maybe the paper could run for us so people could see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, like I said, there's a plan, I mean, there's the plans, I have a paper copy of the plans, I can work with Judy.
Do you
to
have a
try to get
rendering of it?
I don't know if they have a rendering, they have a black and white copy, but we could
Right.
look at maybe getting a black and white plan sheet, engineering plan sheet, that's kind of has a lot of the stuff kind of taken out of it to try to give you more of a visual of how it's gonna work. So we could work on that with MoDOT to try to help them out a little bit.
That's all we can ask.
Accident-wise, we've had 2 accidents on the bridge since it opened.
On the bridge or on the approach to the bridge?
It's been on the south side, or the north side of the bridge, right around the approach, and then closer to the middle, so.
That's another thing too. On the actual north side of the bridge, as you cross over Warren County side, you were actually driving on the shoulder as you approach the bridge going south. So just everybody keep that in mind. That is not the approach from that way either. But once again, it's either you shut down traffic to get all this work done, or you come up with some interim solution, and that's what we're driving on right now, is that interim solution. So, or interim, I'm sorry. Interim solution.
Any other questions or comments?
Attorney's report, public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss legal, personnel, and real estate matters pursuant to Section 610.021 RSMO. Pettit?
Yes.
Scornia? Wessels?
He said no.
Zollentrop?
Yes.
Holtmeyer? Yeah. Obermark?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Idrich?
I told him the guy that sat there before always said no.
He did.
He did.
Said no.
I appreciate the help.
Jeez.
I'll give you some advice. Don't take it from so-and-so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yep. I will. Let me see if I got a card.
Thanks for being here.